Hello and welcome to Wealth Rules Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Monique Wright, along with Vickie Helm. How you doing today, Vickie?
I'm great. Thank you for jumping on with me today. Look, you guys, I know we were supposed to go live a little bit before, but we had a few technical difficulties that we had to fix, especially on
Sure.
my end. So we had to wait till some stuff came in the mail for us. But we're back here live, and I'm so excited about the topic you picked today.
Yeah, retirement optionality. I just think a lot of people, especially our audience, may be able to benefit from the conversation today.
Hey, Nisha.
Hey, Nisha. Just because being retirement optional, people have for many years heard that it's either income or it's a goal, and it's
Yeah.
neither.
Yeah. I want to talk about one of the things is that I know from being in the industry for so long is it's not just that you're investing. I mean, we always think we're making these smart decisions.
Hmm.
I got a 401k, I got the IRA, I got this, I got that. And we've got all of these things that, my college funds for my kids. We think we're being so absolutely
Yeah.
responsible
Hmm.
and we're on point with it. And then when it's time, then we go through the obstacle course and the hoops that you were just talking
Right.
about getting your money or getting to it. And I want you to tell everybody what you told me.
Yeah, I have a friend who thought she was going to be able to retire, and she did everything right, like so many of us. She went to her job, signed up for her 401k, but her administrator actually controls her 401k and her retirement. She doesn't. She doesn't own the structure. She doesn't really own the income. Like if she wants to take any money out, all the fees, all the penalty hits. And if she wants to change from her administrator, she's not allowed to. They will not allow her to change from her employer to another 401k provider. I was like, wow.
I know that's the thing. So I want to talk about this really clearly. When you give your money away to a institution, whether it's an investment bank or one of the big firms, the Fidelities and the
Mhm.
Vanguards and the things like that, we think we're making good decisions in our interest. But what happens is you lose power, you lose access, and
Yes.
everything becomes permission based. So even though you've earned the money, you still don't have access to the money. And if you have access to your money, it is so feed penalized. It
Yes.
is dues. It is everything else that they can put in there. And a lot of times they roll it all into, well, it's an administration fee.
Hmm.
But what are they actually doing? Nothing. They're maybe calling you once a year going, it's fine,
They won't
click.
even call you once a year anymore.
Yeah.
They won't. And
They
then if
just
you
send you
ask,
the prospectus.
right, if you ask the hard questions like, if I take my money out, what happens if I need an emergency loan? What happens if my children go to college? What happens if by the time you take out all the fees and the penalties, your net worth that you think you have is diminished?
Yeah.
It's not, it's not even a number anymore.
I know it's so interesting how we see wealth. We see wealth as we work so hard to earn it. I can still I'm as old as I am. I can still hear Donna Summer in my head. She works hard for the money and I know I work really hard for the money.
Right.
And then to give your money to somebody else so that you have to go, Daddy, please, can I get into my money? That doesn't make any sense to me. But it's what we learn, it's how they control us. Now, I want to tell you, this is a true life story in my life. So, when you're young and your kids are babies, you start thinking about college right back then because
Hmm.
that's how it was. It's not like now where we debate whether college is necessary.
Right.
We don't do that back then.
Hmm.
College was necessary.
Yeah.
So you get those college funds, the 5.99 1099s? No, 1099 says 529, the
529.
529 college funds.
Yes.
So you start stuffing money in there, and
Hmm.
it comes like, every birthday, every holiday, the grandparents are like, here's a little bit for
Hmm.
you, a little bit for you. You take that and you put it in their college fund so they
Absolutely.
have access to it later. So now it's time for them to go to college, and you decide that you want to access the funds that are for your kids. They pick the college, they're very excited,
Hmm.
and suddenly there are hoops to go through to get to the funds.
Yes.
So suddenly we needed a something called a medallion signature. And honest to God, I've never heard of what a medallion signature is. And they're like, well, you get the medallion signature at the bank. What a medallion signature is, and I want to let everyone know, if you have college funds, you're going to have to get this medallion signature. It's like a higher than a notary public. Now, nowhere else does anybody use notary publics, or it's just that America's really old school and they want to keep your money.
Right.
So I'm not kidding when I say this. Our daughter is married in her mid 30s, and we still, after applying for it 4 times, do not have access to the college funds that were hers, where she's gone twice, and we still haven't been able to pay the college funds seriously because it's so hard to get these signatures and these things done. So we had to fill out the paperwork once, then we had to fill out the paperwork twice. We had to fill it out, get the medallion signature, fill it
Hmm.
out. We've just done it again, and it's still there. But what happens is the college fund has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller because there's maintenance fees to these
Right.
things
Hmm.
and these
Yes.
contracts. So you think you're going to have access to those things. You
Terrible.
think that you're saving in the stock market. It means that you get access to that. Now, I want to talk to the people out there who are going, that's why you need to do trading or Forex by yourself. You don't need the stock market. You don't need that. You need to just stop using an intermediary.
Right.
Well, the thing is, you're still buying tertiary wealth.
Hmm.
And that's the thing, you're buying tertiary wealth. And people I don't think they know what ownership is right now. I mean, do you? Do you think they, other than I own this house, what do you think?
I don't think that it's been explained properly. Over the years, you've been taught a system, and you trust what you've been taught because everyone has been taught the same thing systematically. So why would you even try to challenge that thought process? Why would you even think that there's another way to own something that has been working? And I understand, the market is set up for a reason, and people retire 401k, all that stuff for a reason. But what are they owning? And when you have to go to your financial advisor and say, can I borrow money? Do I have access? And about this signature, oh my God, that's terrible. All these years, what is the reason why we would put ourselves through that knowingly?
Yes.
Knowingly,
Yes.
if enough people were educated and knew.
That's true. Nobody would. That's the whole point. Nobody would. And the thing is, everybody thinks wealth is the gathering of those kinds of assets. I get a home, I get an IRA, I pay off my debt, or even now, we think wealth is being debt free. That's not what wealth is.
No.
And I love what you just said about ownership. That's a big deal because what happens is we think, well, I own this trinket, it's got to be worth something. So, if you invest in figurines and you're hoping that your figurines are going to buy you your retirement, they're not. And so there's all these. I think you have to specialize in what it is that you are going to purchase. But
Hmm.
what happens right now is people don't know what an asset is. They don't know what wealth
Right.
actually is. And here's the thing, I'm going to tell you this straight up. If you actually want to be wealthy and rich, you have to get rid of your sense of wanting to belong. So when everybody rushes and they go buy this new thing because it looks really cool and everybody else has one. So I want one too. Like I remember in the early 2000s, there was this big rush to get Harley Davidson motorcycles because they were everywhere. And I like, what are you going to do with a motorcycle? But everybody got them. Hey, Rochelle, nice to see you on. Thanks for joining us. What happens there is that everybody buys because they want a sense of belonging. It's like being in high school. Remember in high school, there everybody was like Air Jordans. Like, you had to have your Jordans, right? And you weren't cool if you didn't have them. And that, for some reason, doesn't go away when we're an adult. When we're an adult, you have to be able to stand in your own ownership.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to steward wealth in such a way. Thank you. That's right, Rochelle. It's mob mentality.
Mm-hmm.
It's not thinking for yourself. Wealth means you have to think about what you want.
Right.
So if I say to you right now what I wanted, and I bought this place that I live in like a couple of decades ago, somewhere around the early 2000s, like 6 or 7, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I bought it, I knew what I wanted when I bought it. I wasn't doing what I live in a place where people go on vacation because I wanted to live on vacation.
Right.
And somebody wrote a post this morning and they were like, a successful life looks like when you have a slow morning and you can have a cup of coffee and just relax for the first hour and a half that you get up. And I was
Right.
like, check. And it looks like that you're in control of your time, but you're focusing on work that you love. Check. And that your day is yours. You can stop in the middle of the day and say, I'm deciding to do this. Check. So it's not that you have IRAs, it's that you have a quality of life that you want. And that means stewarding your life, not outsourcing your life. And we've been taught to outsource. We outsource now to Uber Eats. Go ahead.
I just want to share this with you because I've been open about it, about being one of the people with the mob mentality, right? And we've been talking about how there's going to be a wealth transfer, how the women are going to be able to build wealth. But of course, we already know the beauty industry. We already know that there are certain industries.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've been psychologically trained from our youth to feel appreciated. And the only way that you'll feel appreciated is to fit in. Is that sense of belonging. You matter because you own this, because you have that. And the more you own, the more expensive it is, the more you are appreciated and valued in society. And I went to a museum not too long ago. It was an illusion museum where if you look at something long enough, it starts changing your perspective. If you shift your eyes or change your head a little bit, everything changes. And I feel that's how it is with retirement. It's an illusion, and wealth is too. People want to sell the idea of riches, sell the idea on Instagram, on all social media platforms that this is wealth. And so we buy into it. We start doing the same thing. We don't question it. We just do what everybody else does. Until, you run into a Vickie Helm and you say, what is wealth? And it takes you by, it grabs hold of you. Then you're like, wait a minute. I really do want that quiet life. I really do want that cup of coffee. I want to be able to own what I have and own my time at my speed without having to succumb to the peer pressure of whatever society's doing.
Yes. And what I want to share with you on that note, because I thought that was really important, what you just shared with us. It's like somehow we believe that belonging makes us wealthy. And the reason Vickie got here wasn't because she was I had great mentors. I was very lucky in my life. My mentors were showing me how to build wealth a long time ago. But one of the most important pieces of wealth that you have to have in order to remain wealthy, meaning what I found in the United States was, I have this book I haven't published, and what it's called Rag to Riches to Rags Again, while people are addicted to poverty. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens is people are literally addicted to poverty because poverty is a mentality, it's a state of mind. And what happens is when you want to belong, when you want to fit in, when you want to live a life that isn't the life God planned for you, but the one you think
Mm-hmm.
others will value and give you respect for, that life, that's when you have poverty mentality. Because in order to step into true wealth, in order to step into true quality of life, you have to ask yourself what you want. What
Mm-hmm.
is it that you want? Like you get up in the morning. Until I heard that woman say, um, you know, I want to have a cup of coffee in the morning today, I didn't realize my my spouse and I, we sit down every morning and have the first cup of hot coffee, Joe, tea, or, Robin's a
Mm-hmm.
teetotaler. And so we sit out on our patio in the summertime, and there's just beautiful mountains and sunshine and everything else. And I get to do that. So the first thing I remembered is when you steward your life and your quality of life, you start to own your time. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that happens. But the before you can start doing that, you have to own your mind. And owning your mind is trusting what it is that you don't like. So when I was a little girl, I mean, a very little girl, I must have been about 5 years old. My dad was having a beer, and my dad did not drink. He maybe had one drink every 6 or 7 years. There were no alcoholics in my family. So
Awesome.
what happened was he was having a beer, and it was like the 4th of July, and I was a little girl, and I saw soda. I saw a soda can. I just thought it was a soda can. So I picked the soda can up and I took a sip of it, and he didn't stop me. He let me do it. And I spit it out, and I looked at him with that little kid mouth like, "Eh, Daddy, what's that?" And he was like, "See, you don't like beer. You don't like the taste of beer."
Mm-hmm.
And he was acknowledging that, and I was like, "I don't know what beer is." So he had to explain it to me, and he was like, at that time, I hated liver and onions. Still hate liver and onions.
Right.
He's like, "You don't like the taste of it? You don't like the taste of it. It's okay if you don't like the taste of it." But he was trying to give me my anonymity. So when I got to high school and somebody offered me a beer, I don't like the taste of beer.
Right.
I don't want any. And what he was trying to do was prevent that by happening by validating, I don't like beer. But
Mm-hmm.
I know bajillions of people who suck on a beer, who don't like beer, but they want to belong to that group of people.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, okay, I'll do this with you.
Yeah.
You do at risk behavior, even as an adult, with your wealth and your money and
Yes.
going to dinner when you
Mm-hmm.
know you can't
That's
afford it.
good.
I did that
Yeah.
in college a lot. And or buying something because the girls went shopping and you got to buy too. I'm like, yeah, I don't need this. Being able to stand in your own wealth truth. That's the first mindset that has to happen before you can make yourself free enough to build wealth. Can you believe this is live? And it's the family, and you never know. So she has a really big family, and so they have mom on speed dial. So anyway, that's okay. You got it's okay. I'm recording. It's all right. And it's live, so it's funny. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that's okay. I think that's brilliant.
Thank
That's how
you.
you
And
know
I
it's live
apologize
and
to the
not
audience.
recorded. Ain't no thing. And to me, I'm like, it's just cracking me up. So now when we're looking at people who are trying to build wealth, here's the number one thing you have to do. You have to stop outsourcing your wealth and thinking that you are not smart enough because that's what they want you to believe. You
Mhm.
are not smart enough to do this on your own.
That reminds me of how we will not even ask our financial planner a question because we feel like we're not smart. We don't know about our own finances. Even though it's our money, we work hard for our money, right? But we won't ask those questions because we don't feel like we're smart. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to question authority. Oh, they they have licensing. They are smarter than I am. They, handle my money. But then they don't call you on the phone for 2.5 years and let you know how your money's doing. They don't tell you
That's
what you
right.
can take out or the fees or, if you say, what do I actually own? Is an ETF something that I can, own? Who's going to tell you that? Who wants to ask the hard questions? No one, because we've already been conditioned that we don't want to ask the hard questions because we're not smart. We don't know.
Yeah, so let's take a look right now. What are the hard questions? Well, here's the first one that I'm going to tell you. This is the one I think is most important. When you go in and you buy a mutual fund, say, and maybe you get whatever mutual fund it is, if you ask that person, what exactly do I own? Now, I want you to hear this. They're going to come up with a answer that they've trained the advisor to tell you.
Right.
So they're going to try and simplify it for you so that you understand it. Well, let's say you put $50 a month away for your mutual fund. There's going to be a cute person who comes up and goes, you know what? This is like investing in Microsoft, but you bought a keyboard today and you own one keyboard so you can type on the keyboard here. That's what it's like. It's like owning that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, oh, what a bunch of crap that is. So if you take the keyboard example and let the keyboard grow at 8%, or that $50 you go down and you buy silver or silver rounds or silver anything, and they're $6.50 each back when I bought them. Yes, I just gave my age away. Deal with it. Anyway, so you go buy these silver rounds and you actually hold them. They're
Right.
in your hands. You can buy them off eBay. You stack them up and you have your safe there. So now, instead of buying a keyboard for Microsoft or one of the big tech companies, or you could do both. You could do, $50 here and $50 here, whatever, or maybe split it up, 25 in silver, 25 in
Right.
there. But this you own. This you control. You say when you sell it. You say where you sell it. You say what price you're willing to accept for it. And over here, nothing. You have no control of it, nothing. And if you want to sell it, there's a penalty and it's
Yeah.
big.
Oh, the
If
fees.
you want to access it, there's dues and fees. The things that aren't over here. This is 100% profit and this is not. And what ends up happening is all you're doing is learning to what to buy. What do you own? That's the first question. And what would you ask as a second question to them? What would you ask?
Well, understanding that if your corporation wants to, or if you want to switch corporations or bring your money out, that you can't unless you quit your job, or, that's pretty much it, or a huge taxing with penalties. That is it's unallowed. You cannot do it. It can't be done.
So you're locked in.
Yes.
You're in a lock-in.
Yes.
So that's the thing. The second question you should ask is, am I locked in to your company only?
Mm-hmm.
If the only way I can access this money to move it is to quit my current job to get access to this money, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then after that, having a lock-in, most people don't know what a lock-in is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what we call a layer or a stack. The stack is meant to trap you and your money with no access, no links, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But the smile of the process that you're going to make, let's say you make 10%. Let's say you're conservative, you make 10%. And they're like, well, you'll get 10% a year. But what if you pay 5, 6, 7% in fees?
Right.
Then how much are you actually earning? So it's like, hi, I get 10% per year. Okay, let's jack it up to 14%. Let's say, okay, let's make it 25%. Great.
Mm-hmm.
So your money is doubling per the rule of 72 very quickly.
Right.
But when you take a look at your fees and your penalties, where are the fees?
Right.
How much are you paying to have that? So maybe you're doubling your money, but you're also doubling somebody else's income as well. And a lot of it'd be 7 to 10%
Hmm.
fees. So I want to talk to the person right now who's going, yes, but there's no load mutual funds where you don't have to, you can buy no load mutual funds. Great, no load mutual funds. The fees on no load mutual funds, ask them who you're buying the no load mutual funds from what the fees are, because they're going to be higher. They're going to be like, ooh, if you want to call and find out what anything about your account, it's going to cost you X amount of dollars. And trust me, it's hidden. The money they make is hidden
Yes.
over here.
Yes.
They're going to make it upfront, where you're either going to pay upfront or hi, I bought no load mutual funds, so I didn't pay anything. I was smart. That contract, that prospectus, those fees are all in there, and they're much higher than these fees over here. So that's kind of the second thing I think that's really important is you ask them what I think it's so clear when you say, ask them what's it going to cost me? How can I access it? So what happens if there's a crisis? So here's the game. If you give them your money, they don't want you to get it back. And
No.
I think you're
No.
crazy thinking that you're just going to get it back easily and they're just using it. It's a loan. There's so much to hurdles. It's this obstacles of everything. Let's say you're at work and you don't quit your job and you have good health care and you have all the federal benefits. And you suddenly get ill and you need access. And let's say you're really, really smart
Hmm.
and you have 6 months saved up already, like they tell you to,
Right.
but you have longer than 6 months to heal. And so you need access to some of the money, and you're looking at healthcare costs.
Hmm.
So maybe you have to take a big chunk of the money. Wouldn't you like to know wouldn't you think it's important to know what the fees and the penalties are going to cost, or what things are there in place?
Absolutely. With a majority of the corporations, they want to match you dollar for dollar up to a certain amount. So they
Mhm.
make you think and feel like, oh, it's a win-win, or I'm making more money by investing more of my money inside of it. But they're making money off of you. They're making money with your money because of your investing with them, your fees, your penalties. Whenever you want to access your money, they're charging you on your money, on your dollar. You can't even get your whole dollar back that you invest in. And for the people who are actually saying, you know what, I didn't invest in my 401k. America doesn't have a problem with 401k, for retirement. It's just that a lot of people haven't maxed it out. A lot of people didn't take advantage of it to that extent. And they're still not retirement optional because they thought that someone else was going to take care of it. They don't know how much money they have, and they definitely don't know what the fees and penalties are if they access it. And if they did access it, you know how long it's going to take them to recover?
Yeah,
It's like a lose-lose situation. I'm giving you my.
absolutely.
They could have started out like you said, just buying silver coins on a small scale, just every paycheck, something tangible, something that they can hold, own, buy and sell at will, and be just fine. But they just thought that, okay, you know what, my employer has my best interest in mind, and you know,
Have you
we're
seen that video? Have you seen that video that's going around where there is an Oracle employee who made 250,000 a year? She was part of the tech team that was the designer team.
Mhm.
And she says, it's like the stupidity of everything is that we think the higher the salary we get, the more important we are. What happens is we don't get real self love. We get real self esteem. And here's the difference:
Mhm.
self esteem isn't real. Self esteem is when other people approve of you.
Right.
That's it.
Mhm.
And you have to keep earning self-esteem. Self-love is that you love you
Hmm.
without other people condoning it or saying, "Oh, you have permission to love yourself." That's the difference between self-love and self-esteem are the difference that need to happen so that you can make this kind of wealth. So a lot of you think you're retirement optional when you're not.
Right.
So I know there's somebody out there going, "Great, you told us all about what to look for, blah, blah, blah. What do you do?"
What do you do?
So that's the thing. Number one, the first thing you do is you have to realize that you have to stop trying to fit in. Now, I'm going to talk about something really personal that I don't talk about with people because it's kind of none of their business.
Right.
But I want to be really, really honest. I have been gay all my life. And what happens when you're gay, back when I was gay, it was hated, hated. You were a pariah on the planet. Nobody wanted you in their church. Nobody wanted to be friends with you. They didn't want you at work. They didn't want you to live in your building. You had to be in the closet constantly. So the thing was, I got to deal with not being able to belong all by myself. Nobody wanted to fit in there. There weren't people going, "Oh, I'll be your friend," or, "Oh, I respect you." That wasn't happening. And the thing was, during that time, because I didn't fit in, I had to find my own way. That's how I got here, and that's how I see the difference. Now, as an adult, when you get 2020 vision and you start seeing things clearly, you realize what a blessing it was not to fit in. What a blessing it was not to be wrapped up in all of this illusion over here and to be able to say, "Well, I guess I have to make my own." And that's the mindset you kind of need. Because if you want to fit in, they're going to sell you all the things you don't want. So I'm going to unroll right now what I think is important. First, your mindset. You have to see where you are seduced, where you are manipulated, where you are propaganded into buying things that do not fit your wealth wants. Then you have to sit down and go, "What do I want?"
Hmm.
And you need to go, "Who am I?" So I believe that everyone has a purpose and it doesn't matter. It's like sometimes purposes change. In the beginning, your purpose is to be a child. Then your purpose is to become an adult. Then your purpose is to serve a community and then serve the world or whatever it is for you. No matter what it is, it's capable. So wealth, this is the absolute truth. Our tax code, which is crazy right now,
Hmm.
was made for the business owner. And back then, that business owner was, they called them land barons because people bought land.
Hmm.
And then their job with the land was that they had to make the land better, more fruit trees, fences, homesteads, etc. That time is what the tax code is written for.
Hmm.
And you keep blaming all the rich people and all the people who take advantage of you and all the people who tell you lies, but you're participating in it. And you have to stop and say, this tax code was made for billionaires and poor
Absolutely.
people.
Yes.
You can step in from being a poor person, stop using this system, and start using the original system that made it so you had sovereign wealth, which is different from market wealth.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of people are like, "Well, the market made me a lot of money until it crashed just before I was supposed to retire, so I couldn't retire." That's not being retirement optional.
Right.
And it's kind of like every time that you do that, the first place you have to look is what, and ask if you every single person, your IRAs, everything else.
Yes.
And for those trading online in the market, what do you own? If you buy a stock and all you're working for is the arbitrage between
Right.
when you bought it and when you sold it,
Mhm.
then can you see that you don't own anything?
Right.
And that's why I say, I I think it's important what you shared earlier about there isn't enough education about what ownership is.
Hmm.
You know, we kind of rent our life. We get permission-based life, and we don't actually take a look at what it takes to build wealth. So, what were you going to say?
I also think that people, how you were talking about self esteem, self love,
Mhm.
how you've got to, one, to make a decision first, what you want to do. And right now, a lot of people want attention. You can see it online.
Yes. Yeah.
They're renting wealth, they're performing wealth. I mean, you could be rich and still be performing wealth, and that's why they keep going back to poverty. They're rich and then they're poverty stricken again. Why? Because they're spending all their money on what's making them look good, what's making them feel good, and they're not owning anything. Like, how are you making millions of dollars living in a mansion and you don't own anything?
Yeah.
How is it that tomorrow, if the market crashes, you're done? It's not because they don't have the education, always. Sometimes it's that they choose self esteem. They choose to be put up on a pedestal, to
Yeah.
be celebrated, and they want to have that fame online. And right now, it's destroying lives. It's destroying wealth. Could more
Yeah.
people be wealth owners? Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's not a money problem. It's not how much you make. Many people are great high earners. They just don't own a lot. They're
Yes.
market heavy, and then if the market crashes,
And they're broke.
broke.
You know, and right now there's a lot of wealthy people who are losing their wealth because their wealth was one source of income. So that is an important lead in. The second thing you have to do is you have to learn how to build wealth as well as buy wealth. Now,
Mhm.
we've talked about this before.
Right.
There's only two ways. That's it. There's only two ways you can get wealthy. Two,
Mhm.
not thousands, not there's opportunities, but only two ways you get wealthy. You either build or you buy wealth. So you either learn how to build the house and build a house and you have an asset. There's your house on the land. There you go. Or you buy it. You go, hey, I want that house. And a realtor comes by and says, okay, let's do this paperwork. Voila. You own the house. You either buy it or you build it. And what most people want to avoid is learning how to build wealth. Somehow they want it to be comforting wealth. They want wealth to be easy. They call it set it and forget it wealth. And they love that. That's why the markets are booming.
Yeah.
A, they tell you that if you're smart, you put your money here. But what if you're smarter with your money than they are smarter with your money? Because you know
Mhm.
what? They have nothing, nothing, zero, nothing without your wealth. If everybody stopped investing, these companies would go bankrupt
Yeah.
because they don't have anything unless you give it to them. So the thing that's there is they want your mind to be trapped. They want your thinking to be off point. And they don't want you to know that they don't have your best interest at heart. They really are very much about the part where, you know, we have your best interest at heart. You're going to have this. And as the market grows, because it's always grown, it's always done this. Well, we have things in our world right now that are different than any time before in history. So I want to talk about one more thing that I think is really important to ask your advisor. If you're going to invest money, ask if there is somebody investing it other than an AI agent. Because these AI agents are going to come
Mhm.
along. There's going to
That's
be
good.
billions of them. You'll
Mhm.
be able to buy your own AI agent, put it up there and say, trade for me, and it'll trade faster and
Mhm.
clearer than anything else. So, what I want to know is it a type of stewardship? I want to know what your thoughts are. Is it type of stewardship to have your own AI agents investing for you or somebody else's AI agents investing for you? Because what does it mean? What's the new thing that's going to be in the contract about AI agents? You know what I mean?
All right, that's so good. With your average Well, hopefully not. Hopefully people will start owning. They'll start owning. Maybe let's just say what the average individual used to think or used to do, because now they're watching this podcast and they're making some decisions. They're making different choices. With AI agents, I prefer to own.
Yeah.
With even with the financial advisor who has fiduciary responsibilities, they're still using something else that they own. That's theirs. That's not yours. That is not
Yeah.
yours. You don't
That's
own it.
right.
You don't control it.
That's right. And who programmed the algorithm? You or you know what I mean? It's like, it's going to say, well, they can only buy this because this represents us. And this is what we're about.
In
And
their best interest.
I don't think I don't think that's going to be there. And I look at the future and I say, you know, I'm just going to be honest. I really want to be as transparent as possible.
Mhm.
About, I can't remember, but Jim Rogers, he's probably the best commodities broker around. He used to tell everybody several years, maybe 15 years ago, he's like, farmers are going to be the wealthiest people on the planet. And I used to think, how's that going to happen? How is that going to happen? Farmers are going to be the wealthiest. Um, so Rochelle, I just want to pop on and say what you have going on. You said, so how do you go about owning that AI bot to do it for you? That's a good question. Thank you. Because some of that is being built right now where it's your AI bot and there's a lot of people doing it. And you're going to see more of it. Right now, what you're seeing is companies like Finello coming up and going, here, put your $20 in and we'll show you what our AI bots do. But those AI bots, those are the things that they're programming. The other thing is you can just learn to vibe code yourself and make your own agent. You
Mhm.
know, if you're going into AI and making your own bot that does that for you, that could be a good thing for a little while.
Yeah.
I I still think, hang on, I'm going to cough.
Yeah, and that's in the future too. More of the large corporations bringing the AI agents into play.
Yeah, that's going to be something that is super important for everybody. And it's a good
Yeah.
question. So, how do you go about owning these?
Mhm.
I think the first thing is some people are going to build them. There's going to probably be some good companies and some not quite so good
Right.
companies that put out the AI agents who were working the markets for you so you can get money back really fast and you don't see the fees on the back end or the penalties on the back end or the use of your money things. It's no different. So I believe that I love commodities and hard assets, real assets.
Mhm.
So Jim Rogers, he was talking about how China was going to come up and how we were going to have this de-dollarization and everything else. And he was like, what are the really important things? Well, after this war has been going on and I realize fertilizer and things are not being planted, I
Mhm.
get what he says about creating and making food. I mean, there are some basics to life that go back to the tax laws that were written for business owners, but back then they were mom and pop stores
Right.
and family businesses. We didn't have Costco or those big corporations we have now. The big corporations have obviously taken advantage of the loopholes in the tax laws and everything else as they built out their wealth and what they're doing. So for me, if you're looking forward to something, you're going to have to learn to build cash flows,
Yes.
build assets, build some sort of cash flow vein. Now, I want to talk about one thing. This is if you have learned nothing else today, learn this. There's a difference between a cash flow and a cash flow vein. So if I'm going to take this like you're going to the doctor, they're finding a vein is where money is flowing effortlessly.
Mhm.
Effortlessly. So, for examples, if you own a grocery store or a part of a grocery store, you own a cash flow vein. So, the cash flow vein is Moms everywhere are going to the store to get groceries to feed their kids, full stop, to feed their families, full stop. So what happens is you don't really have to advertise. The costs are low at a cash flow vein. So let me give you another example: baby clothing and baby toys. Baby clothing and baby toys and everything that surrounds raising children, that's a cash flow vein. A cash flow is something like, I'm going to say, rentals, investing in real estate rentals. You have to go find somebody to live in there. You have to maintain it. You have to do all these kinds of things to make sure that this cash flow is working. It's work. So I don't believe in passive income. There is no passive income. All income requires time and effort, but some require less time and less effort. So that way, when you go to Amazon, you can find out what are the things that are selling by the tens of thousands. Those are cash flow veins.
Right.
So right now, people are making decisions. Do I live in the apartment I can't afford, or do I get an RV or a van life thing? Or do I live with my sister? There's optionality there.
Yes.
And it's not to just be there. There's no option to a baby crying when they want a bottle of formula or milk. You have to do what you have to do to keep that baby there. That's a cash flow vein. So you have to be able to live the future right now with a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. Monique and I have made an opportunity for you to learn all the wealth rules, all the hidden rules that they don't want you to know about. And that requires that you subscribe. I mean, subscribe. We let go of wealth rules every day on every post.
Yes.
We have a new book coming out that reveals all the hidden rules that are there for people to watch and look for. And the thing is, what if, I mean, can you hold the opportunity in your head? What if there's hidden wealth rules that they don't want me to know about, that empower me more than the stories I've been told? Is it possible? Is it possible that you want a sense of belonging and have been told that this is the right way to do it when it really wasn't? Is it possible that people have talked you out of your money so that you feel good about yourself versus have control of your own money? Is that possible? And if it is, wouldn't it be important for you to learn the other ways of creating wealth that you control, that are empowering to you?
Yes.
And if so, subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to Wealth Rules, because we are going to be unveiling everything they forgot to tell you when they were telling you about wealth. Everything they forgot to tell you. So I just want to say that I think this is a very pivotal moment in history. What is happening right now? And I want to know, what's your opinion?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure if they forgot to tell us. It might have been intentional. You can't make money off of everyone that knows how to come up from up under the system. You can't continue to have people investing in 401ks and investing in the stock market and investing money in for them to collect fees and penalties if you try to take it out. You can't, if everyone is aware, you can't keep running the same system. Then you got to start changing it. So I think there's some intentionality there that they just don't want everyone to know. And I also think that whenever
Michelle said, real talk, they didn't forget. That's true. They didn't. They knew what they were doing. Thank you for that.
they knew, and then back to the cash flows. You know how I felt when we were talking prior months ago about like Airbnbs and thinking that, even when I was talking to my sons about the farm, right? And we're all, they're like, what? No, let's just buy Airbnb. Let's just buy another vacation home. Let's just buy. I was like, wait a minute. If you buy that, is it going to continue to bring in money? What if the market changes, takes a downturn? What the war causes it, causes so much. I mean, prices of gasoline go up so high that people
Yeah,
stop traveling.
that's
People
right.
stop flying. No one's
Mhm.
going to our vacation home. Now we're stuck. We don't have anyone there. We can't. We need to have people there and constantly moving and advertising and marketing. But here we can do it a different way. Someone's always got to eat.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's the shiny thing. Sometimes they thought, hey, this is passive income. We can go to sleep and we'll just be making money, while we're sleeping. Listen, if something happens and that person stops traveling, you're stuck with extra condos
Yeah.
now. You're stuck with extra vacation.
Another mortgage payment.
Yeah. Who wants that? Prices
Yeah.
of everything already going up. Now you got to pay for lights and water
You
for
know,
several homes.
it's so interesting that you're bringing this up because back in the day, like when George Washington was around, the commonality that brought everybody together was that everyone owned a farm because there were no grocery stores. There weren't, everybody owned a farm. You grew food and you didn't do it like we do now, which is, hi, I have 1,000 acres of corn or 1,000 acres of pecan trees. You only have one product on
Right.
your farm. They made it everything, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, George Washington said, every farm has to grow hemp because they made ropes from it, clothing from it. Hemp was super important, so everybody had to grow it. And he said, oh, in the book I read a book that when Congress and Senate got together, the thing that everybody had in commonality was the farm. So they were a farmer first, then they were a statesman. Where now we're a statesman and we buy into getting pieces of farms. But here's the difference. Back then, a family would start a farm because that's just how you lived.
Mm-hmm.
But then you added to it. Some people would add cheese and then they would add maple syrup, or that's what they made every single year. They made products, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also had a business. You were either a butcher, a shoemaker, a nurse, or a doctor, or an herbalist, or you had another business on your farm, and everybody knew here's the farm with the blacksmith. That's where you
Right.
go.
Mm-hmm.
So they were all multi-farm. They were farmed with multi-businesses on it, where they could trade milk for maple syrup or whatever it was.
Right.
And
Make it
so
harder.
in that mindset, that's kind of what's happening now. And if you look at all the billionaires, what are they buying? Farms
Mm-hmm.
and land,
Yes.
farms and land and water rights. They're not buying into the market. They're
Yes.
not like, oh, here's my dollar cost averaging into the market. They're not doing that. They're buying everything exactly the way that tax code was represented. What if there is a different way to create wealth that makes it harder for you to be breakable, or
Mm-hmm.
you're not locked into something that you don't want to be locked into? I mean, just face it. I know there's a lot of people out there right now who got locked in, and I mean locked in hard, to
Yes.
those vacation rental things that we used to all buy, that were all parts of a community that were in like Orlando, Florida. So
Oh,
you had a
timeshares.
vacation. Timeshares. So they bought into those timeshares. And what happened was the timeshare was there, but the maintenance fees just kept going up and up and up and up and up. And then people realized, I don't use this timeshare as much as it's worth owning. And
Mm-hmm.
they had this monthly payment and this yearly thing, this yearly cost for a timeshare that they were using once a year, and they had to share it with other people who may not take care of the place as well as you do. And then the monthly fees are going up again. And I look at that and I think, okay, that is not a smart investment. But there are people who are buying it. Well, it is an investment. And when it's time to sell, how many of you have tried to sell your timeshare with ease? It doesn't exist. So to me, it's like what they sell us doesn't benefit us as much as, and you have to find out what is benefiting. So you know what? I want to say this. just I just want to continue saying this to you. You just said people always need to eat. Man, and that is so clearly important. It's the basics, the
Right.
very basics
Mhm.
of life. Clean water, clean air, food. That's what Jim Rogers invests in, and he's really good at it. Commodities and things.
When you're talking about fractional ownership, basically the timeshare
Mhm.
dilemma, think about how nervous you would be in this market if you knew that it was going to disrupt your credit if you couldn't pay it, but you had to either buy food, electric bills are going up, gas is going up, and then you have this thing on your back where you can't get rid of it. Who's paying? I don't know what price you might have paid for it, but who's paying you what you paid for it? It's not like it's the regular stock market, I mean, regular housing market where you have a realtor and then you can try to get the value out of it. With fractional ownership, you get a piece and everybody else gets a piece, and nobody knows what the real value of it is, right? But with food, you have a certain level of peace. And I wish people would go back to reading books and knowing their history, knowing how everything got started, knowing how the Federal Reserves got started, understand
Yes.
how people owned farms and families fed themselves. I know for my family, I have a large size family. No one's coming to save us. You got to manage your own family with your own food, with your own solution. And with that comes knowledge, but it also comes freedom.
Yeah.
It's not always the shiny and the glitzy and the sexy stuff, but it's the practical stuff that if you know you need somewhere to eat, I mean, somewhere to stay, you know that you need something to eat. And the bare necessities, the cash flow veins that are going to continue to move.
Yeah, they are. And that's pretty much the safest place. And the thing is, the fundamental basis of everything is you have to let go of the story and the narrative they're selling you every day,
Every
which
day.
is you look really good with this makeup. You look really good. It's why it's like, actually, I don't wear makeup because I'm a product of way back when makeup made your face swell up and rash and everything else. So I wore it like 3 times and my eyes would swell and I would get red, itchy stuff. And I'd have all this makeup on and my eyes would itch and I would do this trying to get it to stop. So it looked gross when I was done. So I was like, yeah, not me, not today.
Right.
And I'm glad I didn't now because I know that a lot of skin cancers and horrible things happen from really bad makeup from back then. And so I was like, oh God, thank God I didn't have to wear that. But my point in saying all this is the narrative in your head that you believe, that's the thing that's keeping you broke. So here's the thing. A lot of people is money comes to me. I have mine. Money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. Money comes for me from both expected and unexpected sources. Been saying that forever. It's what I do with that money that makes it strong.
Mhm.
You want to become uncontrollable, unbreakable, unshakable. You want it to be harder for them to knock you over. So here's the thing. You're either going to be in a non correlated asset or a correlated asset. A correlated asset is run by the systems that are out there. An uncorrelated asset is something you own.
Mhm.
So, in that ownership mindset, it is different than I own tertiary wealth. There's primary, secondary, and tertiary wealth. Tertiary wealth is a kind of a claim. It's not actual ownership. It's the claim of a portion of something. If it doesn't go get knocked over, or if it doesn't go bankrupt, or if it actually makes a profit, you can claim that you have a portion of that.
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense to me right now, especially with climate change, etc. You have to become the solution in your life. Now, I want to say this. She said this. She has a big family. Ain't nobody coming to save her. Nobody is coming to save her. Well, she can't save anyone else either. She has a big family.
Right.
And so, what you have to do is if you have a tiny family or if you have no family, you've got to find your tribe.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, the people who are, and I'm not saying conspiracy theorist stuff. I want to be really clear.
Mhm.
I am talking that the codes that were written for the United States were to benefit business owners
Yes.
because that's all there was. When you came here in the beginning of the time, there were no Costco's, there were no franchisers, there wasn't Uber, there were no shoe stores. There were cobblers that fixed shoes. There
Hmm.
were dairy farmers where you got your milk. It wasn't even pasteurized back then. So that kind of law was meant to protect the family business. It was meant to
Yes.
protect you, and it's still that way.
Yes.
The thing is, it doesn't protect you when you're in a system over here. It's not made for this system. Our tax code is so freaking old that was made for the people who came over on the Pinta, the Nina, and the Santa Maria and hit Plymouth Rock. So that thing right there, if you learn about how they built wealth here versus how they make wealth so sexy and convenient over here, like it's not going to be hard, or it's not worth your time, blah blah blah, that doesn't happen. Now, I want to talk to the families, because I have somebody, really, she has a big family right now. I want to say that I think, Monique, that you have some very awesome ways of talking to your kids
Thank you.
about what's happening. And here's why I think that's important, because if you don't have the conversation now, you're going to have very depressed, angry children who are wondering where their Nikes are and what it is. So I would like you to say, if you were a mom right now, and I don't care how young they are, because you have young to old,
Right.
what are some of the things that you have had talked to in a way to your kids about what's happening, the possibilities of what is happening, and how do you educate them on moving them from this mindset, which is an
Mhm.
imprint already at their age, to over here so they can build real wealth?
Yeah, if you're a parent and you're in the audience, this is what I do, and hopefully it can help you. First of all, I make sure that my children feel seen and heard. They always have a voice. We have what is called a board meeting, and we sit down almost like a round table, and we sit and we explain what's going on. They know that there's a war in Iran. They know that the Strait of Hormuz is closed. They know that it is going to make things more costly. And so you can explain to them with basic math. Gas used to be $1. Now, if this doesn't come through the strait, now it's $2. Now it's $3. No matter what age they are, you just have to explain it at the level that they're at. And if you don't understand, I would say watch a YouTube video, find out what's happening right now in the world yourself. The people are oblivious. Hopefully, our audience and our listeners are not that group. They're a different breed, so hopefully, we already know
Mhm.
what's happening.
Yeah.
And then when I sit down with them, I say, "Well, what do you think?" And then we have the banter back and forth. Oh, I think that this is going on. I can give you a very quick example. So my son, well, they're all different ages, right? And our daughter. So we're talking, and I said, "Hey, what do you think about the vending machine over there?" Well, there was one where you can swipe your hand. And my oldest was like, "No, I'm not doing that. That's crazy." And as we're going down, my daughter was like, "Well, I wouldn't, but I can see why people would because it's convenience." And the rest of the boys were like, "No." The younger ones, "Oh man, that's so cool. You can just put your hand up and just swipe. You can just go up there and get something. I would love that." I said, "Well, what would it cost you? Would you have to give them your handprint? Would they be able to have access to your money biometrically? What would have to happen for them to be able to do that, to have that ease?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" And now we're starting the conversation. The older ones, because people have been taught, hey, that could be the mark, that could be anything. That's the devil. Don't do it. But it's technology, and technology is evolving. Why do you want to be able to do that? And they're like, "Man, that's super cool. I would love to be able to just walk out." Yeah, well, then you're giving away your information in order to do that. And that's how you have to keep explaining things. Wherever you see something, whenever you're in the store, whenever you're at the gas pump and you're saying, hey, look at what it is today. I wonder what it's going to be next week. Remember this number. And they will. Why is it going up? Why do you think it's going up? What caused it to go up? And then they're, well, I don't know. What do you think? And you remember we were talking about the oil overseas? Now it's coming together. Now they're able to bring it together. But even with the farm, everyone was like, I mean, first of all, that was just nothing but God. Nothing but, I already knew that was a divine intervention. I already knew I had to do something. But the conversation that we had for them to come on board, I mean, we're doing a whole documentary about it. That's something totally different. But you can actually see them vested.
Yes.
Loving, doing. And it gets me emotional. But if you bring your children in and they have clear understanding of why and what is happening, that's the thing. They need clear understanding. It will come together.
Yes.
So the tennis shoes become a mute point. Now it's not, okay, how come I didn't get that Airbnb and why are we not? That's my inheritance. Why you didn't buy me another house, on the beach? Now it's like, okay, you know what? We better get that farm.
Yeah. Yeah. That to me is like one of the best businesses you can have right now. And it sounds crazy, but multi-generational families are coming back. Now, I'm Latin, and in my Latin family, generations always have lived together. That's just grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, and kids. So in the area, you have to figure out who your tribe is and how to start working together. Now, here's the thing that I think is important. Right now, kids have no idea what it means when we have how the war is affecting us and in the world. So right now, China factories completely shut down. Those are the places where all our goods and services get assembled. So these big stores, I'm like the Costco's, the Walmarts, everything else where it gets made overseas and brought over, some of it is going to be slow. We also don't have normal fertilizer for planting to happen right now. So I want to talk to the single moms that are worried right now. They got young kids and they're struggling already, and they're worried about getting a job or getting something that's going to happen. Well, here's the thing. You need to make a decision that you have to take matters in your own hands. Meaning, if you're like, I don't have the money to start a business, great. That's good. At least you're naming it.
Right.
I don't have enough money to go to work and work for a little bit of money and then pay someone for childcare.
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me. So what do you do? And if I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not this enough, great. So if you make $250,000 a year and you think you're really important, but the place that you just were working at for years that you gave your heart and your soul and your loyalty to, and they just laid you off with an email, guess what? There's no difference between the struggling single mom and this now struggling $250,000 salary, because most women who have this salary are living at its full capacity. And they don't really have any margin in between there. So I'm going to talk to all of you right now. One is you need to start an online business. And you do not, I repeat, do not need to be paying someone $30, $50, or $150,000 to help you build that business. You need to be very, very frugal and bootstrap right now. You need what we call a lifeboat business. And a lifeboat business is when your life, which is a yacht, cracks. And suddenly you need, I see that, I can't pronounce your first name. I know I see the last name is Harrison, and see that you joined. Thanks for being with us. So you can see that your life is cracking and you need a lifeboat to get into to get you to shore. You don't need a dream business. Not I'm going to go for 7 figures. Let's just replace your salary right now or grow your salary. And that's what we're going to be teaching you to do. Or the whole point of this is I get that wealth is over here. So now you can start if you have a computer, you're watching us on the computer right now. We're on Substack and wherever this shares it to. You want to get to the point where you're learning. Remember, we talked about this earlier, two ways. You buy assets or you build assets.
Mm-hmm.
If you're broke, you've got to learn how to build assets.
Yeah.
Full stop. And is there a learning curve? Yeah, there's a
Mm-hmm.
learning curve.
Yeah.
But there doesn't have to be an expense curve. It doesn't have to be $10,000, not even $5,000 to put up your base for your lifeboat business and grow an asset that can help
Mm-hmm.
you stabilize what's happening to you right now. So, A, subscribe and go ahead.
I just saw something on Substack the other day, and it made me think of like both businesses. It was talking about the Titanic and how the
Mhm.
Titanic was built for big, shiny, fast. What it didn't have enough of were lifeboats.
Yeah, that's right. Big, shiny, fast. That's what they're selling you. So you have to get to the point where you understand what's coming
Mm-hmm.
and you have to start now,
Yeah.
like yesterday now. The reason being is because 27, 28, 29, and 30, they're going to be more tumultuous because there's just going to be more AI infused
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And people are going to be in this quandary of not knowing what to do. What you want to be able to do is turn your life into a hard to break conversation, hard to do. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you may think, I don't know anything. I don't know this. I don't know that. That's not the point. The point is to build the lifeboat. What do you want on the lifeboat?
Mm-hmm.
You obviously want a cash flow vein, not a cash flow.
Right.
You obviously want to be able to pick assets where you've thought about in your mind the kind of liquidity you need. So, do you need fast cash? If you need fast cash, then a side hustle is it. Like, hi, I picked this piece of furniture, I repainted it, and now I put it up on Craigslist or eBay or wherever it is and I sell it. That's fast cash.
Mm-hmm.
Then you want stabilizing cash. The stabilizing cash is the minimum you need in order to pay your bills and keep a roof over your head and keep your children fed. Now, the stabilizing cash, the price can go up or down, or you can sell more than them. But the stabilizing cash, that's your lifeboat business. And then there's the dream business. The dream business happens when the stabilization makes it so you can suddenly pursue it. What everybody does online is go, "Oh, you're at a job, you make 250. Let's build your dream business." And they get you in hawk for 20 to 50 to $60,000 of marginal coaching. And then you suddenly, at the end of the year of your marginal coaching, they're asking for another 50, 60,000 a year to keep you in the elite category of women business owners so that you can network, which is hokey pokey, turn yourself around and walk away. And that thing right there, that's the thing you've got to avoid and just go and build the stabilizer first. That's a lifeboat business. You can do that in 30 days
Yeah. And
easily.
when someone says, "Well, I don't even have a business idea," what do you love to do that you would do for free that somebody would pay you for it? What is the thing that is your skill set that AI may be replacing?
Mhm.
People think that they don't have value because they've been, like we've been talking earlier, don't feel that love, that self love. Their self esteem is low at this point. Now, AI is replacing them, they don't have any value.
Yeah.
You have value and you can market that and you can turn that into a business to keep
Mhm.
you afloat during these times that are, tumultuous. So I don't know. Definitely a business, definitely a cash vein business. And I know we talked about it before, A, B, and C business, but you listen.
Well, first, Rochelle, thank you. Oh, that list of the particular businesses is fire. Thank you. But it's really important to know lifeboat stabilizing and then dream business. Yes, that's right. That's why everybody does it wrong. They're selling so much hype.
Right.
So if you join us, we actually show we have a 30-day of business building for the lifeboat business. At the end of 30 days, you will have everything set up. And the most important thing is that it's inexpensive to run
Yeah.
because you don't want something that is so expensive for you to run. You want it to be as inexpensive as possible. And we show you how to do that with ease. Not only that, we have over 100 other women who are doing it as well. And they're helping each other rise together, helping each other rise. And that's part of the wealth rules, that there are hidden wealth rules they don't want you to know about.
Mhm.
And everybody always starts the conversation like that. Well, there's hidden wealth rules that they don't want you to know about. If you actually go over here and invest in this instead of invest in this, can you see how it's all market? I always tell everybody, remember, if you're in finance, you'll hear the term, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Mhm.
I'm like, cool, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So somebody will go, well, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to get a 401k. And then I want a Roth IRA because I want to retire, but taxes, I just want it to be money.
Yeah.
And then I need these 529 plans for my kids. And then I think we should get a couple of mutual funds because that would really, can you
Right.
see how all your eggs are in a market basket? And the only thing you may own outside of that is your home. I have the market and home. You're not diversified.
Right.
That
That's
is
all.
that's not it. And I was like, how they sell that? It's like they sell the dream of easy money.
Mhm.
And if you ask any super wealthy person, did they ever go, man, it was so easy? Everything went my way. And so I look at this and I think, I want to let you know something that's really important for my heart. Monique and I don't craft a message. We go live so that this is just us talking.
Right.
And we're we we are so committed to bringing the truth out about
Yeah.
this. We are so committed to making sure that everyone knows that there's a better way, a faster way, a safer way than what we've been sold. And what we want to do is not say to you, pick this side or this side. But in Monique's words, she loves the word optionality. Like, she wants choices. Wherever she goes, she wants to say, I have the maximum amount of choices.
Yeah.
So that's her gig. That's her jam. And that's what we want to give you. We want to give you discernment in a way where you are choosing you because you have a type of knowledge base that allows you so much optionality. And I think that too. And I kind of want to know. I set her up. I ask questions. She asks questions. What do you think about this or that? But
Right.
none of it is scripted, which is why
Yeah.
we go live.
Mhm.
So I want to ask her because she has a family, and it's a bigger thing that I'm in my grandma years, and when I uh, when I had families, the thing that I really worked on is explaining how the world works to your children. Now,
Mhm.
here's what I know: it hurts them. Sometimes the disillusion comes from, and I know you've heard this, why
Mhm.
did they do that? Why did they act like that? Why did that have to happen? Why are we doing this? Those
Yeah.
inquisitive questions that children ask. And when they become disappointed, meaning the world isn't like mommy and daddy world. Mommy and daddy world is I'm protected, I'm safe, I'm heard, I'm loved. Out there, it's you better protect yourself, watch your back, who's on your six. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Yes.
When they're feeling that fear, when they're feeling the uncertainty of being a human being on earth, how is it that you help them cope with the lies that they have to uncover themselves? And what I see you doing is giving them strategic thinking when you do the boardrooms. And but when they get emotional and it's painful them for them to think about the hard things, how do excuse me, how do you help them through that?
I give them space. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be emotional about things that are going on, especially when you're young. You really don't have the capacity to stay calm in every situation, right? As
Mhm.
a parent, that's your duty just to guide them and say, you know what? Like if they fall and they scrape their leg, they're not bleeding. They just want a kiss, right? They, oh my boo boo, and you're like, and they're gone. Like it didn't even happen. Like why'd you even cry? It doesn't even hurt. They want that comforting feeling. They want to know that it's going to be okay, that the
Yeah.
world isn't going to end, that whatever is happening right now isn't forever. And so
Mm.
I'm grateful that I have discerning children who do problem resolution, who also do critical thinking. I have them critical think constantly, just
Yeah.
every day. Just we got to practice. We got to make that muscle work every day because we're in a time where if you don't do that, they're going to be harmed emotionally, psychologically, and if you love your children, I mean, we all love our children, but you really want to be able to say, you know what, it's going to be all right, but what are you going to do about it? When my kids get upset, this is exactly what I say. I say, you can own your feelings or you can let somebody else control you. Which one do you want
Mm.
to do? And they're saying, oh, somebody did this, somebody did. I don't want to hear the victim role. What are you going to do about it? What can you control right now? Even if you can't control a lot, you can control how you respond to it. So how are we going to respond to what's happening in the world? How are we going to respond to bullying? How are we going to, well, first of all, I have way too many children. Bullying is really not an option in my house because, you know, they know. But when they don't win, right? They're competitive. I'm competitive. When they don't win, or when someone says something that hurt their feelings, you know what?
Yeah,
Well, what are you going to do? Are we going to try hard or are we going to cry?
that's right.
Are we going to pick ourselves up? If you know that your money is in a market that could go downward, what are you going to do? How are you going to resolve that? You can't resolve it overnight. You can't take all your money out your 401k. We're talking about the penalties and the fees. But for now on, instead of continuing to put 200 and 300, a weekend, maybe we should buy some gold. Maybe we should buy some crypto. Maybe we should get other diversifications of our funds
Yes.
going on versus just
Yes.
getting like now I just feel like a victim. Now my money's gone. Now, price now I can't afford my home. No, what are you gonna do? You've got to own and take control of your own life. Like I said earlier, I mean my family, nobody's coming to save us. I could sit here and cry and say, hey, I would like this done. But if I don't get out there and do it and have them participate, they won't know how to do it when they're older.
Beautiful. And I'm going to take that because now I'm going to be your mom as I'm talking to you
Okay.
on the phone right here on this call with us. Nobody's coming to save you. No one. And America has lived in the lap of luxury all its life from the time it is definitely been the country of greatness. Now, do I think that greatness is going away? No, no, I don't. But I do believe that people are tired of America being great, whether we make America great again or not, or whatever that thing is. They're more like, um, yes, this applies in the UK as well. And by the way, I love the UK. Harrison just popped on and said, does this apply in the UK? And so everywhere around the world,
Yes.
It's like King of the Hill. America's been on King of the Hill and they want to knock us off. Every country kind of wants to knock us off. So eventually they may knock us off. And the key question is you have to think strategically right now. Right now, what can you do right now?
Mhm.
I believe that what you just said is here's the thing I know my kids follow my behavior. They do what I do. If I think critically, so do they. If I fall to victimization, so do they. They become what they watch me become.
Mhm.
And so, what we're working with when we're working with our family is if you're changing and growing, the first thing that needs to happen is just exactly what Monique said. It's okay if you're upset. It's okay if you're mad at the system for not being honest. It's okay if you're upset and need some space to be alone. We have a big reply. Rochelle, I'll read your reply in a second. It's okay to be upset, but you cannot stay in the victim mode right now. Right now, you still have time before it hits.
Mhm.
And it's the time to put the pedal to the metal and go. I want to read this from Rochelle. It says, as an educator in every situation that you encounter, teach them to ask questions. My daughters learn much more through travel. Ooh, yeah, we do. That's
Mhm.
she does too. Yeah, we do a lot of that. We would always leave the tourist site and go to the native side, and I would pose questions as to what we saw around us. I remember we went to Canada, and all the adults were wearing the name brand Nike sneakers and the Timberland boots, and the youth were wearing the Converses and the Pro Led sneakers until they worked. And my daughters concluded that these youths would always be okay because they knew value based on what they were able to earn. Ooh, very interesting because I think earning goes with value. Go ahead and talk to Rochelle there, Monique.
Absolutely. Whenever I travel and I used to live in Europe, one of the things that I found very interesting was that people would always touch my hair. They would just come up to me and just touch my hair. They would be, it wasn't disrespectful. Some people thought it was disrespect, but I knew it was curiosity.
Yeah.
And it's like when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do, and you learn different things. So as my children travel, and we get sick. So I'm like, hey, when you go to a different country, look up the medication for stomach bugs or vomiting, anything with the stomach. Take a picture of it, on Google, whatever. And when we get to the store, the pharmacy, we'll know what we need.
Ah,
I mean, you have Google Translate and everything now, but hey, if I'm sick, I need to run in, run out. You need to make
yeah.
sure that your children understand different conversations because when we're in America, some of our conversations may be offensive everywhere else. So I get that you do learn about money, you do learn about education, you do learn about behaviors. Just taking your kids to different countries and just showing them life lessons. But while I'm traveling, I'm like, hey, don't forget that we've got to know where the airport is, we've got to know where the hospital is, we've got to know where the pharmacy is. If somebody comes up to you, like I said, and touches your hair, it's fine. It's fine. They're not crazy and they're not scary. They're scary here. Don't let anybody touch you here. But over there, it's just curiosity. I'm black, my hair texture is different. So they would do that. I didn't feel a certain kind of way about it because I knew they weren't always used to it, especially in certain circles
Yeah. Yeah.
in different arenas. So yeah, absolutely. Travel is one of the best forms of education for your children, just to show them how other people are living. And I mean, every country isn't as wealthy as ours, so they get to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. One of the things that I really felt the very first time I was in the UK, obviously I went to London and I flew into Gatwick, not Heathrow. And when we flew into Gatwick, I had to get off the plane and kind of walk into an area. This was it just after? No, it was before 9/11. So in this area where you walked in off the plane, I remember when I got out of the door into the plane, there was a palpable feeling of what it was to live in a country where guns weren't even held by police officers.
Hmm.
And when I got off there, I remember the feeling of safety I felt when I walked off the plane. Now, I'm an ex cop. I know what it's like to carry arms all the time, and I'm not afraid of guns. I own them, and I love my Second Amendment rights.
Right.
But I also walked into a place where that wasn't the norm of society, and you could feel the difference. As I could, as I got off the plane and I went down, and I was like, there was a part of me that felt this type of relief. And
Mm.
when you said, "Don't let them touch you over here, but over here, if they touch your hair, it's okay. It's they're not being rude, they're just curious."
Right.
And that to me that was a defining statement. And I know that Harrison is now in the UK, that they're watching us. It's evening time there. In fact, wow, it's kind of late in the evening. But one of the things that we aspire to is to understand what's discern, not just understand, but
Right.
discern what
Yes.
is happening in this time that isn't there before. So, what I mean is, we used to have one recession and it was usually economic, or back in the 1970s when the oil embargo was different than it is now. There was a different type, there was just the oil embargo and it affected one thing. But now we have climate change, we have political uncertainty, we have market volatility, we have a war going on, there's the de-dollarization happening. And then there is,
There's a lot going on.
kind of the financial, it's all in this mixed bowl. And being able to say what comes out isn't the question. The question you want to ask is, how are all these things going to affect me? And I don't mean like affect me for 16 months. Some of this isn't reversible. Like
Right.
if the war stopped tomorrow, we'd have about 3 to 5 years before things got even tighter. So the question is, where's your food and your water coming from? How expensive is it going to be? Do you know your local farmer? Are you growing your own food? Those things we don't even talk about now. And when we do talk about it, most people are like, yeah, I ain't growing my own food. I have Uber Eats and I'll just order from this restaurant. And the other day I was looking at the price of a steak, and last year the same steak was like $10 or $11, and it's $21 now. I was like,
Mhm.
it's the same steak, same ounces, same. I've been buying from the same place over and over and over again, and
Right.
I will tell you this, that just blew me away. And I was like, huh, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to make different choices in the future.
Yes.
And so, we've been on about an hour and a half right now. And I just want to tell everybody thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And Monique, I want to say thank you for sharing, because I think part of the conversation we have is, what do families do now?
Hmm.
Because prices are up and things are different, and how do you adjust? But more than that, how do you have these conversations with your kids so they feel safe? Not so you just can't, don't go up to them and go, we can't afford that, we're not doing that,
Oh,
it's not
no.
here. You've got to sit down. I love the board meeting that you have with your kids, where you let them think it through, ask the questions, let them feel their feelings, because it's hard when you're a little kid to wake up from illusion. That's really hard. You think the world is a good place because mommy and daddy are good and my brothers are good sometimes. And then, it's just like the regular family stuff. This is the kind of thing you're going to have to find your tribe right now. And if I would like to invite you to subscribe to the podcast right now, just do this, because we're going to continue to have these conversations. Some are going to be live, some are going to be recorded. But the reason I didn't go live a couple of days ago is because I felt my nervous system completely hijacked by the possibility of blowing a country up. Whether I agreed with it or not doesn't matter. I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, could you imagine you can't get out of there and you have little kids and the only thing you can hold is and pray. I don't know about the right or wrong of it. I just know that my whole system was so hijacked and I was exhausted the next day from holding the possibility of that happening. And we only have 10 days. It didn't the ceasefire didn't hold. There's
Right.
no boats going through the Hormuz. We're at the same problem, the same juncture. We don't know what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
I was so hijacked by that emotionally. I just didn't feel like I could go live and make a coherent sentence
Hmm.
about what I felt like, other than I felt such all I could do is pray.
I remember we had a conversation. I was like, "Ooh, I wanted to call you and for us to go live, but it was so heavy.
Mhm.
It was so emotional.
Mhm.
Just
And go ahead.
just not knowing what was going to happen. I mean, thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still in the same situation. So
Yeah. We're still sitting in the unknown zone.
yeah,
But right now, there isn't a tweet from the president that says, an entire civilization is going to die tonight. That one sentence, that it's hard to hear that. And whether your opinion is for or against it, that's up to you.
right.
That sentence is not something I wanted to have happen. I would rather negotiate and whatever it is. I'm not in charge of the world. I'm only in charge of what I can be in charge of right now. And having that conversation, we're probably going to go live through this on a little more of an emergency basis because of how
Mhm.
much is happening. And the reason I say this is you need to protect the basics right now.
Yes.
If the energy goes out, you might be, well, we have stocks and we have this and I have IRAs and blah, blah. No, if you have money and there's nothing to buy, it doesn't matter if you have money.
Right.
And what you want to do is get your family's house in order. I would right now, I would be as frugal as possible, meaning I would pay off most of my, as much of a chunk as debt
Mhm.
after I made sure I had reserves.
Right.
And I would like, if I had to hold back on Uber Eats or going out to dinner or doing whatever I need to do to get that reserve, you need margin right
Yeah.
now more than
Yes.
anything else. And before you pay off the debt, you want to create that you first. What
Yes.
is it? Who was it? Dave Ramsey? No, somebody pay yourself first.
Hmm.
Pay yourself first. You need margin right now. And if you have no margin, you need to thank you, Harrison, so much revelation in this. Thank you for that. You
Yes.
need to be able to make sure that even if you grow food in a bucket or go out to the
Mhm.
community garden right now and get yourself a plot,
Yes.
whatever you got to do to grow a little extra food, it's not that you're growing food because there is no food. You're growing food because margin is involved in growing food.
Yes.
Instead of paying $21 for a steak, you're paying something less like pork, and maybe you're paying $4 and you have stir fry because you have vegetables in that. It's like the cost of that
Yes.
is is so important. And your kids, don't they need to learn how to grow food? Yes.
They do, and I'm so glad that you said it doesn't matter if it's in a bucket, because we had talked about this previously. If you live in a community, an apartment, a condominium, if you live anywhere where they won't let you actually, you don't have the land, and you're saying, "Oh, I can't grow my own food." There's a way. There's a way to do it. You can start small. It doesn't matter. I mean, we're showing kids right now. My children are showing other children right now how to do it and get it done. So if they
Mhm.
live in an apartment, little basket, something, but it's going to help you out. It's that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
It is. Is that kind of time, Rochelle? I want to be this. I want to talk to you right now. It's. She said, "Right, my e-bone of harvesting humanity asked me if I knew where my flashlights were, candles. Now we're creating an emergency kit, and we're purchasing raised breads to grow food. High five! There you go. That is the smartest thing you can do. And it's those birdies beds, those birdies raised beds. Those are really great things to grow food in, but." 5-gallon buckets are just the thing as well.
Mhm.
And it sounds like it's so basic, but remember, food is an asset. We think it's a promise. It's not a promise. We think that, right now we have oils. We have only so much oil. I can hear Tower of Power in my head. There's only so much oil in the ground. Sooner or later, there won't be any around. And so it's an old song. And if you haven't heard of Tower of Power, look at them. They're a band. And the name of the song is Oil. Love this conversation, Rochelle. Thank you. We are meant to have this conversation because every week that this war continues, there is less food on the planet because there is not a lot of fertilizer. And if you start now, you could get some fertilizer before it's gone or before it gets skyrocketing. But there are some basic things that have to happen right now in order for you to build margin. Margin is what you want. You went back, Tower of Power. I sure did. And thank you for knowing who they are. That's pretty old school, but I love them. So, anyway, that whole piece of setting up for tomorrow, every week that this war goes on, I want you to know Iran has the entire world hijacked, and
Yes,
they know it.
yes,
They're
they
not going to.
do.
They're not going to give it up. They're not going to like. Oh, President Trump said they are literally hijacking the world, and every week that goes by, there is less and less and less. I think China said they only have 30 days worth of oil left. Cuba's out. They had an emergency supply sent. The Philippines, they're in critical mass. And I think, Harrison, if you could tell us, you're on there. I heard that they were rationing gas in the UK. Is that true? Are you guys at rationing places, or you guys just go to the pump and it's really expensive? Because right now in the US, if you go to the pumps, it's really expensive. But I started noticing there's some things that are not on the shelf. And
Mhm.
maybe it's the tariff, but I believe it's because products are not being able to go through the Strait of Hormuz back here. And so, there are things that are going to start being unavailable. And it's not like, remember the pandemic? Like there was nothing moving, nothing there. There was a lot of shortages.
So I have a bunch of children. We already discussed that, but a lot of them participate in sports. I'm buying a lot of tennis shoes right now, a lot of running shoes, a lot of just everyday normal wear and tear shoes,
Yeah.
only because they have to have a certain level of support. And I don't know if that's going to be one of the things that's not going to be shipped. If I can't go to the store and buy it, or I can't buy it online, then it's going to be a problem. So we've already invested a lot in their in
Yeah,
their
you have to.
right.
Because it's like if all the pandemic, the thing was when it hit China, everybody should have woke up. So Harrison said, no, the UK is not rationing oil, but there's a bit more going on behind the scenes. Ooh, that's interesting. Would you say some more about what's behind the scenes a bit?
Right.
For what is that there? So now it's like if China has all the factories shut down, we own nothing. They make everything. They're the country that is always making new stuff. And so that's going to be important for us to talk about. It's like, during the pandemic, when the shelves got emptier and emptier and emptier and emptier, it was there was a point where you started searching for other secondary
Hmm.
things in order to get a hold of basics. And so I keep thinking, well, they make all the clothes and all the underwear and all the socks and all the tinkery stuff that we buy, all our phones, all our this. And if we're just out of oil, we can't make chips, we can't, it's slowing everything down. It's slowing it down almost to a stop. Now, remember, we had a point where we had to kind of move slowly and get things up to
Hmm.
running again. So it was, there was still this kind of trade backlog that wasn't happening during the pandemic. And well, you're watching it happening in real time right now. So everything is going to go up. And how long can they hold the rest of the world in this hijacked motion? I mean, the danger is like, well, if they don't, I'll just bomb them. Oh my God, please don't let that happen. Please let that pass by us.
That's not the
Please
solution.
negotiate something. But we felt relief, like, oh God, he wasn't going to do it. Oh God, oh, okay. But then Israel bombed just hours after that. So, or was it Israel that bombed? I may be getting my data wrong, but there was still a bombing after that.
Hmm.
And then it literally melted the whole agreement down and everything stopped again. So once again, the world is being held hostage. What's going to happen? Well, there's already things that have happened.
Right.
Food is one of the things. They're not planting those big fields of food that we are usually planting right now. It's not happening. There's not a lot of fertilizer for that. So it's exactly what Monique said. Nobody's coming to save you. And you have to build yourself some cash margin. And sometimes that means you have to go out and um, plant your
Hmm.
own. And what is that thing that Billie Holiday? God bless the child that's got his own.
Hmm.
So that's where we're living right now. And when you got your own, maybe you share with your neighbor, or maybe you sell and make a little money from your neighbor.
Hmm.
And whatever you're doing, if you're unwilling to do that, make friends with a farm stand, a local farm stand in your area. Find them. And by
Yeah.
the way, all the CSAs are literally getting to the point where they are sold out. I think, didn't you tell me about that?
So I'm working with some local farmers now because of the farming sharing advice that you've given me and some other people have given me for the 8A that we have here. And they're not doing as much as they were before. So I was like, well, why aren't you doing that? Because I'm trying to order and I can't go online and order. They already know that there's going to be a shortage.
Yeah.
And so, of course, for their families and for their, they're trying to maintain and also for the future, right? Almost like you've got to have your food stored up in case
Yeah.
it continues to go on. Like we don't know how long this is going to go on.
Yeah.
And so they're like, because we don't know how long it's going to go on, they're playing it safe. They're being smart about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, okay, well, keep teaching me.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's good. Like this is the, oh, Harrison, thank you. I don't know if Harrison is your last name or your first name. Ihunwa. I'm not sure how to say your last name. I apologize if I'm slaughtering your precious name. Thank you for writing back. He said, just price spikes and occasional shortages coming from global tensions. While the government's plan exists to prevent issues, I think one major nation's crises affect other nations. I totally agree with that. And I part of me wants to say, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying on more levels than I'm mentioning on the show. Um, and I realize that some decisions being made aren't everybody's decisions. And I'm not sure what to do about that. I think that's why we're having this live right now, because of that. And thank you for sharing. I really appreciate you just spending the time to give us the feedback, because then we can add it to the conversation, the things that Rochelle and you are writing and adding. So, listen, if you want to be part of the conversation, this is live. Just jump in and be part of the conversation. And we're getting we're getting some actual. I love when people talk, because we get the actual what's happening, because
Mhm.
news can be misleading, which is why I asked him. And
Mhm.
he's like, right now there are price spikes. And
Yes.
trust me, the gas in the UK was already expensive. I live in Kingston upon Thames for a couple of years, so I know the gas spikes that can go up there. Then the occasional shortages right now coming from global tensions. While the government's plans exist to prevent issues, um, I think when major nations' crises affect other nations, I want you to know that that was very politically correct.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for saying it that way. So, what I want everybody to know is there's still time,
Mhm.
but what did they say? Uh, desperate measures, desperate people, desperate measures,
Desperate
something.
situations cause for desperate measures. It makes me
Yes.
think about medication.
I want to talk about that. Thank you. Um, what do you want to say about it? Because you just mentioned it, and I don't want to, walk all over it. But medications, you're right.
Right. One nation's crisis affects another. And right now it's oil, but that's not what is stopping now. That is affecting food. Now that is affecting healthcare, is affecting electronics, is affecting everything. I mean, supply and demand everywhere. And then it's
Yeah.
going to affect transportation.
Hmm.
So dealing with medication and people who have to have medicine, who don't get it
Hmm.
here, that can be detrimental. And that could be another
Yes.
crisis that
Yes.
will pull away.
Well, if this goes on for a week or two more, or, whatever happens, it might be better to think about your medications right now. And if you have supplements you take or whatever else right now, you may want to just get a little backup. Because right now is probably the cheapest you're going to find it in this moment. It's probably going to go way up in price over time, and that's kind of how it is. But I want to ask you this question, because I want to know my opinion and your opinion.
Okay.
Do you believe we are at a life altering place, or do you believe that there is a go back to things being normal? What's your get on that?
I think we're way past things being normal, and it's not going to go back to normal. Where we're at now is probably where we're going to stay at as far as, I think he said something, but um, it's only going to go up. And if prices go all the way up, they're only going to come down a little bit. It's not going to come all the way back down. It's not going to be back to the way it was. It's not going to be normalcy. It's not. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've already passed that.
That's true. And I want to say Harrison popped up with I think it's really a truth bomb that he is saying right now on the BBC or so. I like the BBC actually. I watched a woman talk about one world order and how money can be locked and even the sick cannot buy meds. I want to talk about that right now, because I believe when everything crashes, this is going to introduce the universal basic income, or the central bank digital currency, which is programmable money. And I think Harrison is kind of just putting that in, and I think that is a really important concept right now, because every country is in debt, but nobody is more in debt than the United States is. We're living off borrowed wealth, not real wealth. And that's the thing that has to stop. You have to stop buying borrowed wealth.
Right.
So, borrowed wealth, notes, bonds, stuff like that, it's all borrowed wealth. So, the one world order, I don't know if that part of it is there. It's definitely something that I would keep in my sphere. And I'm open to learning more about it because I'm open to learning as much as I can about how this shift is done. The question is this shift on purpose? Is it not on purpose? Do you think it's by design, or do you think it's by, oh, it's by accident? And I think it's all by design. I think when it gets to the point where millions of people are hungry, millions of people are starving, millions of people cannot get themselves, and when they offer this universal basic income, it's
Yeah.
going to look like a godsend. Everybody's going
Mhm.
to rush to it and go,
Yes.
oh, thank you, I was going to be homeless, but now I can feed my kids too. And I think that's coming. And Rochelle, I see your comment. I'm going to read it in just a second, but I think Harrison is really on point right now. It's like, if you're locked out of getting your medicine, what are you going to do? You have to have a backup plan. I want to thank you for that comment. Also, Rochelle says there'll be a new normal because, as you mentioned before, there will be years before we get back to the relational, even among our countries that are our friends. Yes, I know that hurts because our decisions put them at risk and cause their countrymen to hurt financially. Um, you know, I'm not going to argue with that. I agree with that. And I agree that some relationships that we have held so dear. And for me, I'm looking at Europe and Canada, some of the relationships we have held so dear and so for decades, for
Yes.
so long as I can remember, our relationships have really been hammered. Here's how I believe, and I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people when I say this, but here's the truth for me. All of America needs to be responsible for what's happening. You can't just say, "Oh, I voted for him or I didn't vote for him."
Right. That's right.
President Trump won by a landslide. A landslide. So somehow in our psyche, we thought this was the best leader to lead us at this time. Even if you didn't vote for him, even if you said, no, I voted for Kamala Harris and I didn't vote for Trump, therefore I'm not responsible. We're responsible as a
Yes.
nation
Destination.
to our values, and we are responsible to our communities and what we stand for as a nation. And when we vote for a president, that person represents the United States, not just the individual, but the consciousness of a country. And unfortunately, whether you like that or not, whether you have opposition, we are still one country, one country. And so if you are thinking to yourself, this is not my fault, I disagree with that. It's hard for me to say that because it's like we're not doing anything that is, hey, Colette, nice to see you on. Thanks for joining us. We're having this world global conversation, and we're just talking about the way things are and what's happening and how we're doing. So I want to go back and say, to me, that means my voice needs to speak up if I want something different. We vote in order for things to have happen, but I don't want people to go, well, I didn't vote for him, I didn't do this is not me, I didn't do that. We're Americans, and there's something about our values that have shifted a little bit. And life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is kind of missing a little bit right now in our value statement.
You see a lot of people saying it's not my monkey, it's not my show. I don't want to
That's
vote
right.
either way. You know, it's going to work out the way it's going to work out. And then we
Yeah.
are looked at because of our values. America is looked at by the world.
Yeah.
What we do matters, and how we do it matters. And so, collectively, as a whole, we're all one person. We're all one. And so when the world looks at us, they don't look at us as little individual people. And who did you vote for? What did you do? How did you do it? They don't look at that. They look at it as, oh, you're an American. This is how
Yes,
this
they
is
look
done.
at it. They look at it and they say, "You voted him in." And you could say, "No, I didn't vote that," or "I voted that," whatever your point of
Right.
view is.
Mhm.
But it whoever we put in office represented all of us,
Always.
whether it doesn't matter. And so the options that you have right now to hear your voice, this is why I like going live on Substack. I mean, your ability to talk about things and express your opinion and listen to others. Like
Mhm.
we just had Harrison come on from the UK and go, "This is what we're thinking. This is what we're seeing. This is what's being said." And Rochelle coming on and she's saying, "Well, when we go here, this is where you can have the conversation
Yes.
and find out, listen to the perspective of other people and be able to join in the conversation in such a way that you can your perspective can shift. You could have different plans or maybe have a connection where you're like, "Oh, that's a good idea. I want to put that into play." But here's the thing. We're just talking about, is this going to be a new normal? And Rochelle, I love this. There will be a new normal.
Hmm.
But is it a new normal that's forced upon us that we just go back to sleep and we get used to because we love the comfort and we love the kind of everything Uber Eats. I don't even have to cook a meal anymore, let alone grow a meal in the backyard. I can just order it when I'm hungry and it'll be here
Right.
in 30 minutes or less. I mean, we have gotten to the point where we are so seduced in the United States. We are so seduced
Hmm.
by consumerism and convenience that it's like we've lost the mettle of our forefathers before us. Those people who had ingenuity and skills and kind of figured out, how do I do things when I don't have if you take a look at farmers, that's one thing. They're like, "I'll build my fence, I'll do this, I'll make this work like this." That ingenuity is giving away to this convenience, this consumerism, this we think it's in we think it's instant manifestation.
Right.
We're like, I want my money to come in now. I've already did my affirmation, so I'm going to wait at the bank to see who drops it in there by accident or how the money comes in. Where our forefathers, they were like their abundance depended on them. They didn't know what was going to happen seasonally, whether it was going to have rain or drought or whatever. They had the farmer's almanac and they went out in the back. There is a point when you have no oil that big food
Yes.
can't be done. Now, let me just ask you, this thing to me is like, as this oil dilemma gets better, how many planes do you think from Chile is going to bring grapes and Peru? They're going to bring over, it's not going to be cost effective for
No.
them.
Yeah.
And for the big grocers, for those people who are like, everybody's going in to buy Chilean grapes right now or Peru's blueberries
Right.
because they're available. But when you start making choices like, "Oh my gosh, the cost of blueberries has doubled from last year, then it's doubled from last month to this month," when are you going to stop buying? You have to have that margin built in right now. And part of that margin is all the things that your grandparents knew how to do. Like they grew the garden and they canned the food, so they never had to go ahead and spend the money on doing that. We love convenience. We love it so much. It's so seductive.
Hopefully, this will prick us into having
Mhm.
conversations with our older generations. We've become so convenient and we're putting everyone in nursing homes and not caring about them, letting them just go away and not even thinking twice about them. Where family was everything, now it's optional.
Mhm.
When I feel like it, oh, it's birthdays, Christmas, Mother's Day, I'll go visit. You don't get trained that way. You don't
Yeah,
get legacy that way.
that's right.
So if this doesn't prick you, if your money getting funny doesn't make you go, wait a minute, I need to do something different. How did you used to do that with, $2? How did you make it work? Oh, you had a garden. You know,
Yeah.
they did things that made sense, even with larger families.
Yeah.
Those kids got to work. Those kids put in time after school. My children, I'm like, oh no, y'all, it's not going to be me out there. You're not going to just see me. You're going to know how to do it. You're going to get out there and you're going to get things done. I had to call the gentleman and say, hey, can we get on the sailboat Sunday? I mean, they're already telling me that they know how to do it great. I want to see you. I want to see you catch some fish. I want to see this happen. I don't care what you're telling
Yeah.
me. I want to see it in action. Because as parents, we've got to continue to sow these seeds because if we don't show them in this generation, I don't even know what's going to happen in the
Absolutely.
next. And that's why it's going to be
Absolutely.
so easy, whether the world order comes or not, for it to be brought in is going to be because we didn't show and teach. Now they're just waiting for a savior to come, and not the Lord and Savior, but a savior to come financially, get them out of a bond, save their family. Because when your family is in a rut and you think you're going to be homeless and your kids are starving, you're going to do whatever you need to do.
That's right. I want to say this, it is very important. With universal basic income, it sounds like a great idea. It's coming. Everybody wants the central bank digital currency, but that's because the central bank wants control of all the other banks. They don't need other banks if everybody's on CBDCs. And the thing is, what rights are you going to have to give up in order to be on CBDCs? And Harrison and Rochelle, they have been talking. I want to read what they got. Harrison says, I think generational consciousness is one factor.
Mm,
Past generations thought differently.
that's
And
good.
I'm going to agree with that. That is very much so. The first things first, past generations did not like to owe anybody any money. And
Mhm.
when they came out with credit cards, the first thing they called them was charge cards, and they couldn't sell them. Nobody wanted them. Nobody was like, I don't want a charge card. They paid with layaway, is it? Yeah, layaway.
Anyway,
And their charge cards charging something meant that you were not smart with your money. It's true. So
mhm.
then they changed it to some sexy word called credit card, like something you earned or
Mhm.
something that made you important. And then that's when we started going into debt. But he's absolutely right. And he says, would you say it is a generational consciousness and a shift in how this generation thinks? And I think that's perfectly on point. Absolutely, Harrison. There is that's the fundamental. And what I see is I think we need to flip the script again and have it be more mindful. They're making it so that we're not mindful of our wealth. Let somebody else do it. Here's your debit card, your credit card. They know you spend more money because of this. And what happens is they're not just vacuuming your money away, they're vacuuming your discernment away. And
Yeah,
when they vacuum your discernment and they have a hold of it, then they've got the biggest part of you. You're now moldable, you're
yes.
controllable, you want a sense of belonging. And you're right, that's a very big piece of
And
it.
can I share this point real quick?
Yeah,
Because he was talking about generational consciousness and the shift. I know that my children would rather go on Uber Eats, DoorDash something, than grow
yeah,
their own food. They want the ease. They want Amazon to ship them whatever they want, versus going to the store and walking around and having to choose it.
yeah.
Instead of sitting down, growing food, that's going to take too long. How long does it take to grow a tomato? How long does it take for this? We're about to find out. We're about
Yeah,
to find out. So they they like the, like you were saying, they just like the ease of it.
yeah.
That it just comes to them. Bring the food, drop it off. I don't have to even cook anymore. Forget growing the food. I don't have to bake the food, cook the food in a frying pan. I don't have to do anything. You just do it all for me and bring it here. All I have to do is just pay it.
Yep.
That's
And
not.
the whole system is to make, that's why I said we love convenience.
Yes.
And I want to go so far as to say we are addicted to
Yeah.
convenience.
Mm-hmm.
We're so addicted to it that it's like a drug. You can't save money because the feeling of power that you get by just dialing 1-800 DoorDash me some food gets you to the point where you're losing your margin. You're losing control of
Yes.
your own wealth. This is where you get to the point where they're vacuuming the money away from you and you are completely controllable. Why? Because you can't say no to yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
can't say no to yourself. I want to tell you, uh, it took me a while, it took me 15 years to get the life that I live right now, that I've been living for about 20 years now, a little over 20 years. But one of the things that has happened to me is I live where people go on vacation and I live way up in the wilderness. I don't live in a city or I'm not around. And I remember thinking, I can't wait to get to my favorite place. Now, I live here because I love the freedom. I love to mountain bike.
Mm-hmm.
And I have all the mountain biking places and I love to be in the mountains. Love it. And there are not grocery stores around me. If I want to shop, it's an hour away. And what I learned was the best food comes from my kitchen. Because I remember when we go into town, I'm like, hey, let's go out to a restaurant. So you go to the restaurant and you're like, yeah, it's it's okay. And there's something about the freedom that you acquire by not being addicted to convenience.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you think differently, and you have so much more wealth. I don't know about you, but back in the day, I used to smoke cigarettes, and I quit smoking eons ago. But I remember just noticing how much more freaking money I had. I wasn't paying for cigarettes all the time. And I was like, look at all this money. And then, you're starting to put that money somewhere else. That's margin.
Yes.
That's how margin is. You want that kind of feeling. So Rochelle says, yes, every family member has a role. That's right. And I think that is important for the self-esteem of the family. Even the youngest, the littlest one that doesn't have the capabilities the older one has, all of them have a role in the family. And that is what gives them a sense of purpose,
Yes.
their first sense of purpose that they actually feel. And since you have the bigger family and I just am grandma right now. So I want you to talk about that. Rochelle, yes, every family member has a role. She just said this, but God has a plan for this day. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
We have multiple intelligences, and some of us are naturalists because I know this. I administer an assessment to my youth, and I discovered they're naturalists. Ooh, that is so cool. I have third graders on up who love to plant. We have to discover those with that gift and intelligence
Mm-hmm.
and show them how. Oh, that is beautiful. So beautiful. Yeah, that's right. We're like, here you go, Rochelle. This is true. So, one of the things that we were just talking about, every family member has a role. And their role, no matter, even if it's just pick up all the toys and put them in the thing, they have a purpose that helps them be and learn how to be in a tribe. I see your hearts. They just arrived, Rochelle. She sent heart back to us. So I want to be able to spend a little bit of time and just talk to you about helping your kids feel and have purpose during this time in
Mm-hmm.
history.
Yes. Well, I get emotional when I start talking about it, only because we're in different times that I haven't been in before with them,
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
and trying to explain a lot of things is one my duty. I've got to, but at the same time, I'm trying to navigate the process too. Just to be honest, I'm trying to figure out how can I make my pieces move, and how can I make sure that we're okay. So a lot of times I'm in the headspace of not right now. I'm trying to figure something out. Where
Mhm.
they're like trying to figure it out too. What's going on? I'm like, I don't even know yet. And I think it's okay to say, I don't know. Give me a minute. Let me figure it out, and then I'll come back. Because children have high intuition. They know when something doesn't feel right. They know when they see a stranger.
Yeah.
They're like, stranger danger, stranger danger. You know,
Yeah, they do.
and they know when something is like off with their parents. They know when their parents are worried, whether it be financial, whether it be health wise. You're not feeling good. What's going on? And so when you really want to have the conversation, you really got to be honest. It's got to come from a place of sincerity. You can't lie. You can't
Yeah.
make stuff up. You can't cover it up. You can't say, whatever you saw in the news, that's fake, or somebody in my class said this. And no, they don't know what they're talking about. And then they find out that it was true. Now you look like a liar. Now everything that you say after that, they're going to test it to make sure that it's, the truth or not. So you don't want to lie to your children, but you also want to make sure that you have understanding of what you want to say and how you want to say it. You don't want to always say everything that you know because they can't handle that either. Sometimes it's scary.
That's true.
And if it's going to be scary, you need to keep it to yourself if you don't know how to explain it to a child. But if you have older children and they can understand, you can break it up piece bit by bit. Give a little bit at a time. This is what's happening. Okay, let them digest that. Let them make sense of it all. And then give them some more. Don't just say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to be able to afford the water bill. I can't afford the gas bill. AI is coming for jobs. The data centers are making everything high. Oil's high. We're gonna lose our home. Then they can't function at school. They can't even do their schoolwork because now they're terrified of coming home one day and not having a place to live. Give your children
Mhm.
what you know that they can handle at their stages, that they can handle each piece, and then when everything happens and you have a clear understanding, it'll be better for them and you as the parent for them to be able to digest it. You don't want them terrified, scared, running around, their nervous system all out of whack because you don't know how to determine how to explain something to your children.
Mhm. Mhm. And I think that's kind of where I want to wrap the show up today because I think that is the most important aspect of what we've been talking about. It's how to help our children through times like these. There is a unprecedented time we live in right now, and I agree with you. I've never lived in this kind of time. There's usually one urgent thing, not
Mm-hmm.
six. And um, I'm not sure about the leadership in the world. I'm not in the negotiations of what's going on or the threats. But I want to let everyone know that it has been so lovely to hear from everybody around the world on this call today. And Harrison, thank you for keeping us abreast of what's actually going on in the UK and not what the news tells us is going on. And Rochelle, your insights have been absolutely so perfect
Yes,
because it helps us look at how we can handle what's going on with our families and that kids have gifts already by the time
mm-hmm.
they're 8 years old. You want to steer them towards their natural gift, the natural purpose of them. And, I want to say to Monique, you are so freaking brilliant. And what I love about conversations with you is that you do not melt down and collapse and become a victim. You are very good at critical thinking. And that is such a gift to have with family and kids as to what's going on. Listen, we are the Wealth Rules Show. I'm going to invite you, please subscribe to us. Let us have this conversation. We're going to go live at least once a week.
Yeah.
Now, we're trying to figure out how to pick a day to go live and a time to go live because somebody is telling us, well, it's better to get up in the morning and do this or whatever. But if you're watching the replay or you're watching a little short, thank you for watching it. I'm going to invite you to subscribe to Wealth Rules because we're going to be sharing more of this kind of conversations. And I want to let Monique say something as well, and then I'm going to close the show down for us.
And thank you, Vicki. It's always amazing having a co-host like yourself. You always bring a wealth of knowledge. I know, um, I believe it was Harrison. When he first came on, he was like, wow, this is real good. And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Just from the beginning to the end, where we start talking about the market of being retirement optional, all the way down to Rochelle talking about children and their genius. And really, with the lifeboat, you operate in your genius. So having a
Mhm.
lifeboat business, with your genius and using that to help the world is another thing as well that adults can do. But it's just been an awesome day.
Yeah.
We hadn't been live in a minute, but I'm glad we're back. I'm glad we're live, and it's just been amazing. And thank you so much for all the comments and the guests that I'm sorry, the audience that have spoken up and just shared what's going on in their world and their area of the world. And yeah, I'm super excited about it.
Me too. I'm absolutely super excited about it. All right. Until the next live, yes, we're going to try and give you a little more time. Notice that we're going live at this time on this day. And we'll see you for the conversation. Thank you for being here. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.